Hello, I'm Tiffany Lewis, and today in the Cobb TV studio joining us again, we have Chairman Mike Boyce.
Hey,
Welcome,
Tiffany.
Chairman.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to be back.
Well, this week we actually have a BOC meeting on a Friday, which is
Yes.
a very rare occurrence, and we had to postpone the BOC meeting, which are usually on Tuesdays,
Right.
because of the impact of Hurricane Irma. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, as you know, we closed the government on the 11th and 12th of September for safety reasons. First of all, the governor declared a state of emergency throughout the state, and we thought it was very important to support him in that action and to show how we also took very seriously the issues involving high winds and rain in the county. So we closed the government on Monday and Tuesday, and so I worked with the commissioners, and we arrived at a decision very quickly, and I mean like within minutes, to reschedule the 12th of September meeting until tomorrow. So we don't want to have that happen too often, okay? But we also wanted to have two meetings this month because, you know, we have two very important topics that we're going to be discussing tomorrow. One of them is the 2040 plan, a recommendation to send it forward to the Atlanta Regional Commission. And then the second one, the budget. And I didn't want to have one meeting and put all our eggs in one basket, because if there are some concerns expressed by the commissioners about either one of these plans, then we would have an extra day an extra meeting to discuss, to address those issues, and then come back to another board meeting and pass them. So the board agreed with me on that. So we'll have our final hearing on the budget tomorrow, and we'll vote on recommending to send the 2040 plan forward to the Atlanta Regional Commission for their review in October.
Well, both of these things that you mentioned that'll be covered at the BOC meeting have been ongoing for a long time.
Yes, they have.
Both of them have been very slow and methodical processes. As a matter of fact, as you mentioned, with the budget that the board will vote on, this is the 2018 fiscal year budget. We've had several meetings about them, and this will actually be the second chance for the public to be heard. So there will be a public hearing before the board votes.
Right. Yeah, and this budget is one of those seminal documents because it's going to reflect the millage rate that we passed in July. And I'll be very forthright. I thought that we would have a higher millage rate that I could work with, but the reality is I didn't. So I had like 6 weeks to put together a budget, working with commissioners, that we would be able to put forth in September. And I just want to let people know that the 6.76 millage rate that we have agreed on is going to have a huge impact, not just in 2018, but in 2019. So the 2018 budget is basically a continuation budget, except that I've taken out some significant funding lines in there. The nonprofits have come out. We have to address the operations and maintenance and personnel for the Sewell Mill Library. And there's some other issues in there that have some big numbers attached to them. So I had to take those out, and we're going to address those separately in work sessions and in the board meetings. But the bottom line is, if any of those are going to be added back to the budget, it's going to require a vote by the board. They're going to have to identify the source of the revenue for those items, and then they're going to have to amend the budget. I've been working very, very closely with the commissioners. I met with every one of them this week to talk about it. I know their concerns. I think that right now, we're all under the understanding that we're going to have to find a way forward here, but we also owe the public to continue the services that we've provided, that Cobb has been famous for, in our high quality of service for this great county. But there's no question about it. This is the first step in a brand new process to address a low millage rate, where we're going to have to, at the end of October, come up with options to how we're going to pay for the services or not pay for the services. So again, I go and remind the public that there's going to be three options. You can either cut services, you can raise the millage rate, or you can do both. And I have an idea of how we should go forward, but I have to convince two other commissioners to go that way. I'm very excited about the October retreat because it's going to be the very first time that we're going to have all 5 commissioners sit down and address one specific topic, and that's the way forward on the budget for 2019. It's going to be an open forum. People can come and watch if they wish, but it's going to be limited primarily to the directors of the staff and the 5 commissioners. And we're going to have a process where we're going to walk through We're going to have to come to a consensus about what we think are mandated services, what are essential services, and what are desired services. And we're going to once we reach consensus on that, then we're going to price those out, and we're going to see how much money we have left, if any, to address all three of those categories. Mm-hmm. My suspicion is that we'll get through the first two categories, the mandated and the essential services, but then the real challenge is going to be, what do we do with those programs that are left in the desired services, mm-hmm. but there simply isn't money left for them. And we're bringing in the ACCG, which is a organization of county executives and the representatives, to help us guide us through this discussion. And I think that at the end of those 2 days, what I'll have is a guideline as to what the budget I'm going to be able to build for 2019 and in the future. So what I tell people is that I'm well aware that we're taking a new direction, but this is a big ship, and I just can't simply stop this ship, and turn it 90 degrees in either direction. We have to slowly make that change, because there are consequences that if you take this out of the budget, what impact does it have on another program in the service? Mm-hmm. And I'll just give you one specific example. Let's say that there are advocates that we should privatize every single function of Cobb County government. Then the question there is, who's going to fund the pension fund mm-hmm. for all the county employees that have already retired, mm-hmm. or that we're going to force into retirement because of the privatization? That fund has to be funded. Mm-hmm. And privatization, none of those private contractors are going to pay into that fund. So that's an outstanding bill that the county has to address. So that's just one simple question on a multitude of issues that we have to very, very carefully craft, because the bottom line is, whatever we do, we cannot impact on delivering services to the people of this county. They're not interested on our problems. What they're interested in is, we pay your taxes, we pay our taxes, we have these services that we expect from you, and we want you to deliver them. And it's going to be our challenge to find a way to do that in a new way. So as Paul Harvey once said, stand by for news.
Well, excellent. Well, one more thing that the board will be covering at the BOC meeting on Friday that is close to our hearts here is you will be voting on a new communications director. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, the board has recommended that Ross Cavett, who's a well-known reporter from WSB, come on board as our new communications director. He brings a wealth of experience in the communications field, but just as important, he knows this county. We don't have to bring him up to speed on Cobb County. So he's going to be able to step in this role as both someone who's covered this county for a number of years, knows all the influential people, business-wise, government-wise, private-wise, and has contacts there. And I just think that he is going to be bringing a new way of looking at Cobb County and enable us to get our message out. Because one of the challenges that we have had is that we're in a reactive mode. We need to be able to put together a narrative to take to the public and tell them, this is what we're doing with your taxes, and this is why we want you to support that. And the way not to do that is to do it at the very end of all this process by having town halls, and then you find out belatedly that what you're trying to do, the people are not really happy with. And then you have a smaller period of time to react to that, to fix that. Mm-hmm. And usually, in my experience, has been when you limit the time to address a major issue, you usually get it wrong. So what we're going to do now is, following the retreat, we're also going to start and put together basically a campaign plan of getting out and starting after January, of telling the people what it is that we propose to do with their money in 2019. And Ross is going to be an integral part of that.
Well, wonderful. Well, we look forward to all of that, probably seeing him on this show, maybe since he's got all that TV
Absolutely.
experience.
Yes.
Well, wonderful. Chairman, it's been great chatting with you and catching up on all the wonderful things we have coming in the county, and we'll see you next time.
Look forward to coming back, Tiffany. Thank you.